Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to welcome Dave Canner, Ashland City Administrator. Dave, good to see you. How are you today?
Fine, thanks.
All right, so Ashland always has a lot of fascinating issues happening in city government and city politics. Let's talk about marijuana and everything that's changed just in the last few months for the city of Ashland. What is happening right now?
Well, I can't say that there's a whole lot happening right now. We do have 3 dispensaries that have opened in town. Those are medical marijuana dispensaries. I think everybody right now is in a bit of a holding pattern, waiting to see what the legislature is going to do with any changes that they might make to Measure 91, and also waiting to see what type of administrative rules might come out of the Oregon Liquor Control Commission. I think Ashland generally is a more tolerant community when it comes to marijuana, and I would expect that to carry over in terms of any regulation that the city might impose as well. Based on our experience with medical marijuana, I don't think there'll be any push on the part of the city to try to keep marijuana businesses out of the city. We do have some specific concerns about outdoor growing in residential zones, and I know that we're not the only city in Southern Oregon that has that concern, so I do expect some ordinance to work its way through the Planning Commission and then come to the City Council that could place restrictions on outdoor growing in residential zones, but I don't think we would ban it outright. Another concern that I think is unique to Ashland is electric consumption from commercial indoor marijuana growing. Ashland, because it has its own electric utility, our electric rates are much lower than they are in the Pacific Power Service territory. And of course, electricity is one of the big raw material costs for a commercial indoor marijuana grow. So that's something that we're keeping an eye on. I've talked to our state representative about that, and I know that he's taking a look at that as well.
Now, if the legislature decides that cities and counties cannot tax, is that something you think the city of Ashland will challenge in court? Because there's a lot of talk about other cities and counties challenging that if that's what the legislature decides.
There hasn't been any discussion of that at the council level, so I really can't say for sure. I think that type of legislation is more appropriately challenged by the League of Oregon Cities or the Association of Oregon Counties, so you have a statewide coalition taking the lead on that rather than an individual city taking the lead on it.
Okay. You're also searching for your next chief of police. Terry
Yes.
Holderness is retiring in a few short months. How's that search going?
Well, Terry is going to be a very, very difficult person to replace. He's a great communicator. He's a very collaborative, very open person. He has created a culture in the police department that I think is unique to policing, at least in my experience. And I think the biggest challenge is going to be to find someone who can maintain that culture of openness and collaboration that Terry has created. And he's also very strongly encouraged innovation in the department and listened to people on the line and incorporated their thinking and their suggestions. The recruitment hasn't been open very long. It'll be open all the way through the end of March. So far we have, I believe, 23 applications and really haven't started screening them yet. I think optimistically we would have a new police chief named by the end of June.
Okay. All right. Interesting. All right. So wildfire, always a risk in Ashland
Yes.
with the beautiful outdoors you guys have out there. So is there concern already? Because we're seeing incredibly dry.
The woods, the woods are incredibly dry right now, very dry. So everybody is predicting that unless we have some unbelievable weather event that dumps a couple of feet of snow in the woods in the next couple of months, we're going to have a very early and very dangerous fire season this year. Ashland has been in the process for the last 6 years of doing fuels reduction work in our watershed. I mean, that is our main concern, is our water comes from the woods directly above Ashland. So we've spent about $6.2 million since 2008 on a fuel reduction project. We were just recently notified that we're going to be getting another $2.2 million from
USDA.
The federal government, right, USDA and the National Conservation Service. That will leave us about $2 million short of what we need to complete the project, and then we'll need to start budgeting about $175,000 a year to maintain the fuels reduction work that's been done. So that takes care of the watershed above Ashland, but there's still a lot of land outside the watershed that's at risk. And of course, when we get the big smoke events, during the summer, as we have in each of the last couple of summers. It definitely has an impact on tourism in Ashland as well. So
Always a concern, of course, for your economy.
wildfires, it's a big issue for our city, but we are doing what we can with the help of our partners in the federal government to do our fuels reduction work.
Very good. Dave, great to see you. Thank you so
bet.
much for being here. Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.